What's good, Paulie? Gang, 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 gang. It's your boy, KeeSeeY. Today I'm doing another Elvis Presley reaction. This is a video reaction of Elvis. And this was back in 1960. It was a press conference that he gave after doing 2 tours in the Army. And yeah, apparently he was already famous before he did those tours. So, and they said he didn't get any special treatment while he was in the Army or nothing like that. He went through the same regular routine as I guess as like all the other men there. So it's interesting to see someone get drafted into the Army, serve for 2 years, and he was already kind of famous before that. And I mean, it's incredible to watch. So I'm just excited for this interview. This is my second interview of Elvis Presley, and this is a younger interview of him. The first one that I watched, he was a little bit older. I think he was in his 40s at the time, either late 30s, early 40s. Now this is 1960, so I'm pretty sure he was 25 at the time. So just a little bit older than me, y'all. So let's just see the interview.
And then I have the picture with Mr. Wallace, and after that I have two for 20th Century Fox. And after that, heaven knows, I don't. I suppose it'll keep me busy the rest of this year, you know. After that, I don't know.
Well, Elvis, now you're really home. How does it feel?
It's pretty hard to describe, I'll tell you. It's hard to get used to it, you know. I mean, I've been looking forward to it for 2 years, and all of a sudden, here it is. It's not easy to adjust to it.
Now that you are back, as you look back on your 2 years in the service, what was the most important thing that happened to you during your 2 years, whether it was overseas or here in the States?
Well, there were a number of things that happened. Had quite a few interesting experiences. Slept out in the snow. HC rations, you know, all the regular thing. But I suppose the biggest thing of all is the fact that I did make it. I made it just like everybody. I mean, I tried to play it straight, you know, like everybody else. And I made a lot of friends that I never would have made otherwise. And all in all, it's been a pretty good experience, you know.
You still have time.
I mean, just from looking at him, he looks traumatized. Hopefully nothing crazy happened in the Army. I wonder if he does more interviews in the future about his experience in there. But I know most people that went to the Army, they really don't or the military in general, they really don't want to talk about their experience in there because it's just a lot. Especially the people that went to the field. Most of them come back with PTSD, a lot of other issues. I wonder if he had it this young of an age. He doesn't even look like he wants to really talk about it, to be honest with you guys. It's kind of sad to look at, to be honest.
Service now for Uncle Sam. Have you given any thought as to where you're going to serve your reserve training?
Well, sir, I will be on the reserve status here in Memphis at the Reserve Center here. But they have a clause which covers people with traveling jobs. If you have a traveling job or if you live too far away from your reserve center, they put you on standby. Whereas you don't have to make their meetings, but you are subject to be called at any emergency or anything of that nature.
Elvis, one of your future commitments, as you mentioned, is the Frank Sinatra show on the ABC television network. Do you have any idea of when this will be aired?
I really don't know the exact date. I would imagine it's somewhere around the 1st of May.
Forgive me, I have one other part to my question. We understand, speaking of Frank Sinatra, that there has been some rumor about Nancy Sinatra and yourself. Is there a romance in the making here?
What? Hey, hold on. Is Nancy Sinatra Frank Sinatra's... Is that his wife or is that his daughter? I know who Frank Sinatra is. I've heard a few of his songs. New York. And I heard that one. I heard another one. I just can't name it off the top of my head right now. I don't know much about his family, about his personal life, or none of that. Like I said, I only know like 2 of his songs. But yeah, if they asked about his wife, Frank Sinatra's wife, why would they ask Elvis about that? That's just kind of weird to me. So I'm assuming that must be Frank's daughter. But yeah, but it'll be interesting to hear him and Frank make a song together. I don't know if I've ever Me just thinking about it, I think that Frank Sinatra, I thought he was around in like the early 1900s, so like 1920s, 1930s. I keep on forgetting that Elvis was around in the 40s. Well, he started in the late 50s. I'll say the mid to late 50s. But I mean, he was, he's been around since like the 40s, 50s. He was young around that time. So it's interesting just to see that he was around with some great other artists around that decade.
No, sir, I'm afraid not. I only met her in Fort Dix.
Okay.
And she gave me a gift from Frank. And it was very brief. I think she's engaged to Tommy Sands. I don't think he would appreciate that.
Yeah. That must be his daughter.
Elvis, you think the music has changed since you've been out of the service? I mean, since you've been in the service?
Possibly, yes. I can't say, really. I haven't been here long enough to even know. Excuse me. The only thing I can say is that if it has changed, well, I would be foolish not to try to change with it, But as of now, I have no reason to change anything.
As to your acting, you have stated you would like to be a more serious actor. And do you plan to possibly go to some school or some dramatic school?
Well, it wouldn't hurt me any to go to school, but I learn best by experience. I never was very good in schools of any kind. And it's going to take me a long time and a lot of experience.
But that is your ultimate ambition?
But as at the present time, it really is. That's what I want to do.
Elvis, you were asked about Nancy Sinatra. How about any romance? Did you leave any heart, shall we say, in Germany?
Not any special one. There was a little girl that I was seeing quite often over there. That her father was in the Air Force, and actually they only got over there about 2 months before I left. I was seeing her, and she was at the airport when I left, and there were some pictures made of her, but it was no big romance. I mean, the stories came out. The girl he left behind, and all that. It wasn't like that. I mean.
Oh man, I love Elvis. I think he was well, I won't say a playboy, but I guess at that time he's young. He didn't want to settle down. I can't really blame him a little bit. I guess that's why they're always asking, hey, who are you? What was your romance with at the time? Another thing with that Frank Sinatra, I'm assuming that's his daughter comment. I'm going to assume that, I keep on forgetting, I'm in the 2000s. The 2020s to be exact. I mean, that decade now. I keep on forgetting, back in the 1960s, they didn't have social media. They didn't have all these different things floating around. So it take a while for word to get from one person to another. So maybe they didn't know that she was engaged at the time. That's what I'm assuming. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying this interview a lot.
I had to be careful when I answer a question like that.
Elvis, in your service life, which did you find the most difficult when you went into basic training, or when you got over into Germany, over with the experienced soldiers?
See, it looks like he doesn't even want to talk about that.
Well, basic training wasn't hard for me at all. It was harder afterwards, after I had gotten into a regular outfit. Not the service itself, but just the surroundings, and I was in a strange land, and the outfit I was in, they had quite a bit of field duty. We stayed in the field 6 months out of the year.
Oh, wow.
And it gets cold in Germany. It snows quite a bit. And it was pretty hard to adjust to.
One thing further on that, do you have any advice for the boys your age who are now going to have to put in a certain amount of duty in the service?
Well, the only thing I can say is to play it straight and to do your best, because you can't fight them. They've never lost yet, and you can't fight them. So you can make it easy, or you can make it hard on yourself. I mean, if you play it straight, get the people on your side, let them know you're trying. You, as the Army would say, you've got it made. If you're going to try to be an individual or try to be different, you're going to go through 2 years of misery.
Gotcha. So I'm assuming he's pretty much just saying follow directions. Don't try to be too different and stuff like that. I guess that's what he means by that. I'm assuming. But yeah, at least one of the things I did catch about his military experience, he did say that he was just trying to, he made it out. That was like the biggest thing with him. And it's good to see, like I said, I don't know if he was able to go on the field. And if he did go on the field, hopefully he didn't see anybody get shot, wounded, or he didn't see, bodies on the ground. I hope none of that, he didn't experience any of that, because I couldn't imagine what he went through if he experienced any of that. Hopefully it was just a training, they just have him in the field like he said, and on watch. Even that by itself, I know that could probably be harsh as well. Because I mean, I've never been to military. I don't plan on going anytime soon. Maybe unless a draft happens. If it happens, then I have to go. I have no choice at that moment. But I have heard stories about field training and stuff, and I talked to a lot of people that have been in the fields. And I won't say they've been in the field itself, but they were like a guard. They were more so like a watch guard, I guess you would say. And a lot of the watch guard people that I've talked to, they used to tell me, they said, I want to be in the field. That's what they used to tell me. They said they wanted to be in the field, get action and stuff. But instead, most of the time, they were just on watch duty for most of the time so far, like for like a year or two. So it's interesting to hear different people's dynamics about being in the military. Some people went on tours. Some people were just put on watch. So, yeah.
Elvis, when do you think you'll record again? And when you do you think you'll lean toward the ballad type music or the more upbeat sounds?
Well, as far as when I'll record, I really don't know. Possibly this week or next week. And what I'll record, I don't know yet. I've got quite a few songs to choose from. I've collected over the 2 years, but I don't know exactly what type or what instruments I'll use, whether it be the Firestone Orchestra or Monty Bunny or what. I really don't know.
I don't know what that is.
Shoot.
You said that at the train that that you wanted to get back to what you were doing, and of course that is singing and entertaining. And I take it from that you really enjoy what you're doing or what you were doing before you went into service.
Oh yes, I do. In fact, that was the hardest part of the entire military service, is being away from it.
Being away from the fans and
Just being away from show business altogether. That was the hardest part of all. It wasn't the Army, it wasn't the other men. It was that. It stayed on my mind. I kept thinking about the past all the time, contemplating the future, and that was the hardest part.
We know your family status has changed since you went into service. Are you going to keep Graceland? Do you have plans of moving away from Memphis? Or what?
No, sir, I have no plans for leaving Memphis.
And you're going to
That is right. Didn't his mother pass right before he got sent, or right around that time when he got drafted? I think that's what happened, right? If I'm not mistaken.
plans of moving away from Memphis? Or what?
No, sir, I have no plans for leaving Memphis.
And you're going to keep Graceland?
I'm going to keep Graceland as long as I possibly can.
well,
I think you'll have an
was this Christmas tree a surprise?
Well, since it's March, it's a little surprise. That's the tree we used in 1957.
We can leave the Christmas tree long enough about your tonsils and the tonsillectomy that you were contemplating while you were in the service. Did you deliberately ask that it be held off until you could get to the United States and a local doctor?
No, sir.
Or did they improve that much?
I didn't ask that. They don't like to perform surgery of any kind in Europe. They don't like to. If it's an emergency, they will. But I took penicillin and wonder drugs or whatever they call them.
You
I
had
got
no
okay.
recurrence, huh?
I had 2 attacks of tonsillitis when I was there.
Elvis, did you like the food over there outside of the Army? When you would go out, did you like that type of food?
I never went out, Charlie.
You never ate out in a restaurant?
I never ate in a restaurant the entire time I was in Germany. It's funny. I either ate in the mess hall or at home. one of the two. I never, in fact, I never went anywhere while I was in Europe except to Paris. I went to Paris and on a leave, and that was all.
Okay.
Now, how did the fans respond to you over there as compared to here in the States?
Well, it's a pretty difficult question to answer because anything I'll say, it might sound a little like I'm bragging, you know. But it was pretty much the same. Pretty much the same there as here.
They had seen a lot of your movies.
And the records and so forth.
That was great to watch. Now, I wish I could have seen the end of it. I know there was a little bit more towards it. Wish I could have seen. Okay, I didn't know that was gonna play, but I wish I could have seen more of the interview, like towards the end of it. I was engaged in that the whole time. It was interesting watching young Elvis talk about his experience in the military, his post experience afterward, how his career pretty much like I know he started his career just like 5 or 6 years before that, so it was interesting to see. Hey, so now after you're out of the military, what you gonna do now with your career and stuff like that? And you know, just interesting. It seemed like he was wise back then, and he's got even wiser as he got older. So it's just great to watch. And another thing is, I don't think he really wanted to talk about his military experience as much. He seemed like he had a lot more fun when they were asking questions other than the military questions. He seemed like he was laughing, starting to get better at that compared to the military stuff. But anyway, if you stay this far, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please like the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in for another Elvis video reaction. And on that note, it's your boy, KeeSeeY. And probably gay. We out.